pop it into sport, I'll just kind of pull over to the side and, you know, before the window is down. So hopefully you can hear a little bit more induction noise. So, all right, here we go. Let's have some fun. Reviewing a BMW today. It's the M140i. If you don't know much about this particular series, this is an absolute beast, but to the naked eye and the untrained eye, you wouldn't really know it. This isn't any regular BMW. This is kind of a wolves in sheep clothing type thing. It's got BMW's flagship 3-litre turbo. The 0 to 100 times will make you cry. And I'm a big fan of hatchbacks purely because they're so practical. First impressions of the car, probably some of the most comfortable seats I've experienced in a while. They're really top quality. They feel great. The steering wheel's unreal, nice and meaty, feels good in the hand. The main things I'm looking for: how does it drive? Is it practical? And how would I use this car if I ever wanted to get into a couple of track days a few times a year? You know, if I wanted to go on some spirited driving through the hills, and daily use as well. Listen, this is probably BMW's best car if you want the whole package. You don't have to be spending upwards towards $100,000 to be able to get the performance that you would usually get from an M2 or an M3. You would probably expect this car to have a, I don't know, a 4-cylinder turbo in it, to be front wheel drive. And the fact this is rear wheel drive, I'm sold already. Anything that is rear wheel drive, especially with this setup, with this engine, oh man, it's perfect. It's the perfect recipe for a really good driving car. You're not going to be driving this car on the limit, on the edge every day. We need to be realistic. This is something that is really good to use daily. Chucking groceries in the back, transporting a small family around as a daily, and something to kind of cruise around in, run errands in. This car's perfect. Once again, I always have to mention this when I'm doing these reviews: the tires. This car currently has a set of Michelin's Pilot Sports. Michelin are great. You really can't go wrong with them, and you do get what you pay for. You know, Michelin are a little bit more expensive, but they have always been a consistent top tire manufacturer forever. Also, one thing to consider is what are the type of running costs, and one thing I always look at is fuel consumption. The fuel consumption on this is unreal. Like, even just kind of cruising it around now, it would give you back about maybe 7.5 litres per 100 kilometers, and that's with kind of your normal cruising, maybe a little bit of bumper to bumper stop and start, which is really, really good, which means, you know, a tank will go a long way. So I'll do a bit of a pull here. So 2 grand, about 40 k's an hour. Yeah, it feels good. Power delivery is really nice, and it's such a good feeling being pushed from the back. The front wheel drive cars at the moment, the technology is so good, they can mimic rear wheel drive cars. Some of the front wheel drive cars in this category, Golfs, Hyundai, i30Ns, A45, Mercedes, you know, they are four wheel drive, front wheel drive. Having all the power hit you at the back, it just makes this package so much more enjoyable. The good thing about this setup is that if you're interested in getting into track, you could just easily rock up to a track day, make sure your tire pressures are all right, make sure your fluids are okay, and you're going to get through a track day just fine. I'll do another one, 3,000 RPM in second gear. Let's see how it goes. Awesome, unreal. The power delivery is really smooth. Kind of when I planted my foot there, I did feel the back kind of twitch a little bit. It would be great to have this car, you know, as a 6-speed manual, but listen, you know, times are changing, and these gearboxes are so good. Just the response time, how they change gear. I'll comment on the paddle shift. I think paddle shifts are cool. I think they are awesome. They make you feel like a little bit of a race car driver, even if most of the time you don't really need to use them. Even going through just before, you know, doing some acceleration, the paddle shift is so much fun. Shoot, go away. Can I adjust these mirrors? Absolutely awesome. It's the power delivery just keeps going, like from about, you know, 3,000 all the way to 7,000. It's just really nice, and it's so good when you change gears. You feel the back just dip a little bit, and it wants to kind of step out. I could do that all day. That is so much fun. I'd have a lot of confidence taking this to the track. It's really ticking all the boxes right now. I can't really fault it at the moment. So I'm going to get some outside footage of the car, some exhaust notes, some accelerating, some braking, bits and pieces, and I'll do a walk around of the car just so you can see those finer details, those things that make this car such an incredible package. So I'll tee that up now. So we'll just do a walk around of the car, guys. So as you can see, it just looks like a modest BMW hatch. Once again, it's to the naked eye, just looks like something that'll have a little 2-litre in it, or a 4-cylinder turbo or something like that. So this is what makes the car so cool, is that it's an absolute beast. And you know, it's got some nice 18-inch wheels, and once again, it's in the details, those little M badges and stickers kind of popping out. I like the way it looks. It's not too crazy, no unnecessary flaring or ducts or bits and pieces. As you can see, that's a real duct. It's not a fake one. It is there for a reason. So yeah, really enjoying it at the moment. I'll just comment on the interior, guys. As you can see, it's got the digital gauge, and yeah, I like the digital gauge. I think it's a nice little setup here, but it's pretty neat. It looks like the interior's good quality, but once again, I'm more interested in driving this car and enjoying it. So guys, as far as handling is concerned, it feels pretty good. The active steering is different. It's something that you do get used to over time. I'm not used to driving cars like this. I'm more used to driving my rear-wheel drive AU, which is just a total masterpiece of engineering. Nowhere near, you know, this BMW, but that's okay. You gotta take what you can get sometimes. Depending on your skill, you do really need to concentrate when you start to push this car. Although it is forgiving in a sense, you really need to have your finger on the pulse, and you really need to concentrate 100%. This engine is arguably one of the best mass-produced engines ever, and it will remain one of the best for a long time to come. It'll always be in the top 10 no matter what. I see a lot of these BMWs that it's got BMW's M stripes on the front. It's the blue, the aqua, and the red, and you see that on the grille sometimes, and you just know there's nothing M about it. I mean, it might have maybe some M Sport rims or a type of M Aero package or something like that, but really where it counts is the engine. Unless that has an M on it, or it says M Power or M Motorsport, yeah, you don't have an M car if you don't have that on your engine. I can respect and appreciate BMW slapping a whole bunch of M badges and M stickers on their lineup. You know, they might be able to entice a few people to convince them that they're getting a sporty car when really they're probably just getting something entry level. You know, I'll try not to say M so much. It is going to be one of the main topics about this car and about BMW in general. Some of the other cars that are in this tier, you know, things like the A45 Mercedes, the Audi RS3, even the Hyundai i30N. Even if you're not into cars, you can tell that they're a sporty hatchback. And this is why this car rocks, is that it just blends in. It's really stripped back, it's reserved, it's not all flary, it doesn't have the badges everywhere, doesn't have crazy aero kits, but it's got the performance that can outmatch them as well. And that's no disrespect to people who own those cars. Those hot hatches are so much fun. The thing I like about this car is that it doesn't give off that vibe. It blends in really well. I think this will be the last rear-wheel drive car of its kind, which is a little bit sad. I think now they're all going to be front-wheel drive, 4-cylinder turbos and stuff like that. And when you take away the rear-wheel drive, it takes away the soul, in my opinion. It's those fundamental basics. Good solid engine at the front, manual gearbox, rear-wheel drive. That's probably the best combination. I understand that's not possible with this day and age. I can live with the paddle shifts, that's fine. And in day-to-day driving, in eco mode, this thing is nice and comfortable. The active steering, it is good when you're kind of driving medium to higher speeds. When you're kind of navigating U-turns, tight spots, the active steering does feel heavy. That's the characteristics you're gonna get from active steering. Lower speeds, it's gonna feel quite heavy in the hand, but really I'm clutching at straws here. Once again, I've kind of had a good think about if there's anything on the car that doesn't feel right or I don't really agree with. I would probably like more room in the back, but these are the things that you have to sacrifice when you have such a competitive market with this type of car. The M2 is more of a driver's car, being that you can get it in a manual, so I can definitely appreciate the M2 being more enjoyable to drive when a manual gearbox is concerned. That pretty much wraps it up for today. It's definitely a car that I would consider as a daily, or maybe if you only head to the track a few times a year, this would be perfect for it as well. If I owned one, I would probably keep it stock, to be honest. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if I've missed anything or if I failed to mention anything about this particular car. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.